What's up, Bremerton? Josh Farley from the Kitsap Sun here. I'm outside of Collective Visions Gallery, and I'm joined by the Bremerton Homelink students. And how many stories we got, guys?
5!
5 stories you just got to know about happening in Bremerton this week. Welcome back to this edition of the Bremerton Beat Blast, sponsored by the Admiral Theater. Story number 1 today. It is the best time of year to go through the Collective Visions Gallery. It's their annual CVG show, and while it's already been judged, you have an opportunity to come as part of this Friday's First Friday Art Walk festivities. From 5 to 9 p.m., the gallery will be open and free of charge.
Be sure and pick up a People's Choice ballot, and as you go around, decide which ones you like the best. And vote.
Now, there was a runaway winner of this year's Mayor's Prize, and I want to tell you a little bit about him. His name is Jeffro Wito, and he lives in Tokeland on the coast. Jeffro takes only driftwood that floats in from the oceans and from the tides of this wonderful state that we live in, and he makes it into art. This year's prize, you can buy it if you want it for $80,000. It's hanging on the wall, and it is a bust of a rhino completely made of driftwood. I spoke with Jeffro this morning about how he makes all of this amazing stuff.
Probably at least 8 years ago or more, I kept finding these pieces that the texture was just amazing. It really grabbed me, so I kept thinking, I'm going to do this piece someday, So, every now and again I'd find another piece and it'd reintroduce the idea again, and then I got an opportunity to do a show in Taiwan at this museum, and so I did a full-size rhino.
Wow.
And it was pretty consuming. I was on such a high from that project that I was like just into this rhino zone, the energy of it.
Story number 2 on the Bremerton Beat Blast this week. We are still following developments of a tragedy that occurred out at Lake Tahuya, about 15 miles west of Bremerton. It was there that 3 people have been determined to have been the victims of homicide. Crystal Lynn Carrega, she was 37 years old. Jonathan Higgins was 16 years old. And Hunter Shapp was 16 years old. We're still learning more about who these people were in our community, and we're still following very closely this developing stories. Stick close to kitsapsun.com as we learn more. A body was also found in a burned out truck in the Mason County area. John Carrega, who owns the home, has not been found by authorities. He also owned Juanito's, which was a very popular restaurant in the Kitsap Lake Junction area. There's a sign that has been posted, as well as a big memorial of flowers has cropped up there, and they are closed to, quote, a family emergency. Story number 3. Downtown Bremerton is about to have 5 fewer street trees. The Bradford pears on 4th Street between Pacific and Washington Avenues are some trees that I've probably written about more than any other. They are controversial. People who own properties along the street say they are a barrier and a deterrent to businesses and residents locating there. Meanwhile, the trees have a lot of defenders who say that they add character to the street, but the city says they are now too dangerous. The trees will be cut down the week of February 6th. Story number 4 on the Bremerton Beat Blast this week. From repealing parts of Obamacare to instituting a temporary ban on immigration from majority Muslim countries, the pen from the Oval Office has been quite busy with executive orders this past week. The Trump administration promises to crack down on illegal immigration in the United States. But what will that look like? I spoke with Bremerton Police Chief Steve Strand about what officers here in Bremerton are prepared to do and what they aren't prepared to do.
People need to hear loud and clear. Residents in our city need to hear loud and clear. We do not ask about documentation status. We do not participate in federal immigration sweeps. That's been our policy for about 1.5 years. And it's not a political statement. We're not choosing political sides. It's really just about doing good, effective law enforcement in our city. It's not about politics. It's not about making a statement. It's about making sure that let's say the woman in our city who may be undocumented and who may be abused by her husband or boyfriend, or may be a victim of a crime, feels very comfortable calling us and doesn't have to worry about herself being deported, about her boyfriend or husband being deported. It's really about dealing with that crime and making people feel safe in our community.
And finally, story number 5 on the Bremerton Beat Blast this week. Buried deep within the forests of Bainbridge Island, there once existed a Japanese-American community from the late 1800s and early 20th century. And believe it or not, it has become an archaeological dig. An Olympic College professor named Caroline Hartsey heads up the Yama project, which is uncovering this mysterious former community.
The village was large, and it had a hotel, and people stayed at that hotel from all over the world. It had a tea garden, it had a photography studio, and other businesses. So it was people are very surprised when they hear how large the village was. At one point, up to 300 people were living at the village.
The talk, which is free, will be held between 6 and 7:30 on the Olympic College campus in the Engineering Room 117. That's going to do it for this edition of the Bremerton Beat Blast. I hope you have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you again next Tuesday.